flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All council members are present. Copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the meeting room on the wall and accessible to the members of the public. Under the consent agenda, all items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests. Item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of minutes of the regular meeting on November 4th, 2024, as on file with the City Clerk's office. Item E, approval of the Treasurer Report of Claims in the amount of $537,394.13. Let's see, approval of Boswell Report of Claims in the amount of $61,906.87. Item G, approval of write-off of ambulance bad debts. Item H, refer claims of Linda Thomas regarding damages to her personal property to the city attorney and the city insurance carrier for review and disposition. Item I, resolution number 7442, executing the annual certification form for the Nebraska Department of Transportation for the period of October 1st, 2023 through September 30, 2024. And item J, resolution number 7443, executing the agreement with Northeast Community College and any and all other documents necessary for the city through its fire department to partner with Northeast Community College to provide clinical education services for students. Anybody want anything pulled off? If not, Mr. McLean.
I move the items listed under the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and or ratified as presented.
Second.
Your vote, please. That passes 8-0. No public hearings or bids tonight. Moving on to resolutions. Resolution number 7444, executing the grant agreement and any other documents necessary to effectuate the Nebraska Department of Economic Development, NDED, Public Works, CDBG grant number 24-PWI-002.
I move the resolution number 7444 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Recently, we worked with SIN and we applied for a CDBG Public Works grant. The last CDBG Public Works grant we got would have been the improvements on 2nd Street from Ella to Grant Street. That would have been the last one that we received. This one is for $480,000, and it is for some various mill and overlay projects throughout the community. We had some budgeted for FY25 and 26, and this would essentially pay for about half of those that we had budgeted in those 2 years.
Questions? Your vote, please. That passes 8-0. Resolution number 7445, executing the General Administration Agreement and Construction Management Agreement between the City and Southeast Nebraska Development District, known as SEND, to retain SEND to administrate the Nebraska Department of Economic Development Public Works CDBG grant number 24-PWI-002.
I move that resolution number 7445 be passed and adopted.
Second.
This is the same grant we just talked about. This is retaining SIN to do the grant administration on this project. The cost is up to $30,000. Those are the funds that are also set forth in the grant for grant administration. So SIN will do things such as the environmental review. They'll go out and ensure that Davis-Bacon's being met. When contractors are on site, they'll do those types of things as part of this grant administration.
Any discussion needed? If not, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. Resolution number 7446, executing the loan agreement, promissory note, personal guarantee, and deed of trust, and any other necessary documents between the city and Darrell Fletcher for a direct loan in the amount of $14,065 as part of the Downtown Revitalization Program and CDBG Grant 23-DTR-002.
I move the resolution number 7446 be passed and adopted.
Second.
This is another one of your downtown revitalization grants. We're continuing to work through the various environmental reviews on other projects. but the Fletchers have made it through, and so this agreement's with Darrell Fletcher for his building at 414 Court Street for just a little over $14,000 for him to make some improvements to the facade of that particular structure. Again, it's set up as a forgivable loan as part of the grant. If for some reason he would not keep those improvements, we would have to repay the state, and this is a way to ensure that we'd have a way to get our money back from Darrell in the event that that happened.
Your vote, please. That passes 8-0. Resolution number 7447, entered into an Interlocal Cooperation Act agreement between the city and the village of Crab Orchard, Nebraska, whereby the city shall provide garbage collection services for the village.
Second.
I move the resolution number 7447 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So Crab Orchard, I think everybody's aware where Crab Orchard is at. Their current hauler has dropped them and informed the village that they were no longer going to provide service to them. And so Crab Orchard requested that Mars submit a bid. They ended up with 3 bids, and Crab Orchard has decided to award the bid to the city of Beatrice. It's a 5-year contract. The price in there is $18 per month, which is the same that the village of Philly is at and other communities like that. And we'll start December 1st. And there's no price freeze on this contract as it was on previous contracts.
Dwayne?
Okay, well, you know that I'm going to be a no vote on this, and the reason why is I just don't think that being a city entity that we should be bidding against private businesses. I know, there'll be some, disagreement with that. They asked us to bid, but when they have the service and they had 2 other bidders, and I know, the bids are probably pretty close, I just don't feel it's right that the city go and possibly hurt private industry. And I had a bunch of notes here, and I was really going to take up a lot of time, but I really don't think I'm going to here. But the one thing that I do not like, excuse me, is the city of Beatrice, back in 2002, we raised our prices to $20. Gary fought against that. He voted no on that, and I agree it was right. Thing is I don't think that the citizens of Beatrice should be paying more in their garbage service than we're charging these other cities when you got to go out and pick it up. You got more gas. You got 3 people on a truck. It's just not right. We're paying the bill. We're paying the bill. Now, yeah, you say, well, we get these people that are $23 outside. Well, guess what? There's people right outside Beatrice that would get ours if we were only collecting Beatrice. They'd be paying us $23. I just don't think, and I had a little conversation, and I said, we better not see our rates raised in Beatrice until those are all up there with us. The answer I got was, well, we might have to lower, when they come due, we might have to lower down to keep their business. Well, I don't care if we keep their business if they're going to pay less than the citizens of Beatrice. This is not fair, and I think people should get a little bit upset about it. If we can charge $16.50 to some other towns, $18 for a few others, then why isn't that where we are? We got as many people outside Beatrice paying $23, and probably more than they do. And I'm just, I was going to try to keep my temper, but I feel my blood pressure going up. I just don't think this is right. And, if we want to charge them the same as you charge Beatrice residents, okay. But I don't think it's fair that they get to pay less than citizens in Beatrice.
Crab Orchards, that's clear over in Johnson County. Have you, there's what is there, 5 people in Crab Orchard? Maybe 8?
I believe there are about 24 to 27 residents in the town.
Is charging them $18 an hour going to pay for the time and the trouble and the gas that it's going to take to drive back and forth on there?
Yes, because you already are within a couple of miles of the village today with your other rural customers. You're already in the neighborhood.
Any other discussion from the public? Your vote, please. And that votes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 2.
You got Rue and Fralin voting no.
Yes. Okay. That's it for resolutions. We'll move on to ordinances. An ordinance vacating Lot 1 and Outlot B, Homestead Junction, first addition to the city of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska.
I move that said ordinance be given number 24-31, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and the said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
To take action, the rules, to suspend the rules is not debatable. Gentlemen, your vote, please. And that passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
Sorry.
That's all right.
8-0.
8-0. Okay. So, ordinance number 2431 by number only the first time, 2431 the second, and 24-31 the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 24-31 be passed and approved.
Second.
So this is the old Storecraft property. This is on the north side of Irving Street. The owner of that site, if you recall, retained the buildings on the far north end of the property there and made those into some storage units. They want a sign for their storage units out by the highway. We do not allow off-premise signs, and so they have to replat the parcel to basically extend a small bit of the parcel that goes with the buildings out to touch the highway so they can put a sign out there advertising their storage units. That is what you're seeing tonight on the vacation and the replat. That's what's happening.
Discussion?
What else are they gonna do there? When they came and they told us they were gonna do all kinds of things there, a little strip mall, and have they give you any indication that they're going to just mow that once a summer?
No, we've not had a lot of any additional conversations about what they're looking to do on that particular property.
I have no problem with the plat. My only comment is I appreciate them doing this. So many times in instances like this, it's they put it up and ask for, they don't, instead of asking permission, they ask for forgiveness. And they didn't do it this time. And I really appreciate the way it was done. So I'm not voting against it, obviously.
No. But thank you. That's so true.
Yeah.
Okay. Your vote, please. Passes 8-0. So the next ordinance is approving the plat for Homestead Junction's second addition to the city of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska.
I move that said ordinance be given number 24-32, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and the said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
A motion to suspend the rules is not debatable. Your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. Ordinance number 24-32 by number only the first time, 24-32 the second, and 24-32 the third time.
I move that ordinance number 24-32 be passed and approved.
Second.
So again, this is just the plat that we talked about earlier. As you can see, they've kind of extended a little bit of the property or that parcel that has the buildings on it to the east so it touches the highway. I think the initial conversations about this project, God, either 2020 or 2021. So it's taken a while to get this far, but
Any more discussion needed, gentlemen? If not, your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. Public forum. The purpose of public forum is for the presentation of an item by the general public to the city council for consideration at a later date. No discussion or action will be taken by the city council this time. Anyone here for the public forum?
Evening, guys. My name is Rita Heido. I live at 208 Sherman Street, but it must be garbage night tonight. I'm here about dumpsters for commercial properties. Right now, I pay $74.24 a month, which is roughly 4 dumps a month. But if I ask for an extra dump, it's $75. Right now, if you do the multiplying, 12 times 74.24, and then you divide that by 52 weeks, it comes out to $17.13 a week, about is what I'm paying. And I think $75 for one extra dump is a little outrageous. I can remember, which I can't remember my name most of the time, I believe it used to be, in the good old days, about $25 or $30 for an extra dump, which I think is fair. I can see if you are going out of town and then it's extra drive and mileage to go out of town for an extra dump, I can see adding some mileage for that. But when they go up and down my alley several times a week, right by my dumpster, I do think that that's awfully high. I did call about it ages ago, and I was told that the city council sets the fee. So that's why I'm here, guys. I know there's a lot of things a lot more important than this on your plates, but if you got a minute sometime, I'd appreciate you taking a look at this. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to discussion and reports. First, our committee updates. Where are we going to start with Gary?
Thank you, Mayor. The Code Committee has a variety of city codes that it will be reviewing. Some of these topics include accessory structures, grading permits, and a right of policy. As the committee prepares revised code sections, we'll forward them to all of you so you'll know what they are.
Thank you. Who's next?
Go ahead, Ted.
Excuse me, Dempsters. Everybody knows where it is. Everybody knows what's going on. I hope the community does. The radio station and the newspaper did a really nice job. We had an open house a couple of weeks ago. They both did nice jobs about the articles and detailed of it. Really appreciate the fact sheet that Tobias provided for them, so everybody was on the same page. This week we were in district court, or last week we were in
Last week.
Last week we were in district court to get the second to the last piece of this. We should know, and we filed the grant application for the Brownfield grant this week. Last week, sorry. Did that last week. Yeah, it's Monday, right?
That's right.
I keep thinking that. So we did that last district court. We got the last piece of the property, the second to last piece of the property. 7 of 8 that we need. So, and then we filed the Brownfield grant. I spoke with Tobias about that. I think we should probably know in January. He thinks I'm dreaming. He thinks it's probably going to be closer to April or May before we know if we got that. And then subsequently, next spring, we'll pursue the other piece of the taxes to get the last piece. So this time next year, we should own all of it and file for another Brownfield grant to hopefully make a bigger dent. But I do want this body to understand, and the 2 new members to understand, that these grants probably aren't going to take care of all the demolition for this. We're going to ask this body to reach in their pockets and have to do some of it, but hopefully that's not very much-ish. Not very much in comparison. It's not very much in comparison to what the federal grants that we're getting, the federal and state grants that we're getting to tear it down. So we all know it's an eyesore, and we're doing the very best we can. So, but it does actually seem like where we're standing now, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's actually a light and not a train. So I think we're in pretty good shape. That's what I got.
Perfect. Terry?
Well, this is the downtown committee report. There's a lot going on in the downtown. I'll try to capsulize this, Mayor. So the RAISE grant, if you'll allow me to look at some of my notes. For the RAISE grant, we met with the Nebraska Department of Transportation. We have them under contract now. They're going to administer that grant for us. We did that here. And they're out advertising for RFQs I think, as we're talking right now, all right, to hire an engineering firm so we get going on that. So we've done everything that we can do on the raise grant. I think everybody knows that we own the Kensington building now, right? Okay, and Hoppy is our group that we picked to revitalize that building, renew that building. And they're working with contractors I know, because I've talked to two of them. They're looking at bids, and they're looking at all the tax applications that they have so they can put the whole thing together. But that's moving along. It just takes time to do all this. The downtown committee met on Ella Street with Tobias and James, our engineer. And James brought us what we thought was about a 60% drawing relative to what we're going to do on Ella Street just over here. That now, I can't tell you how many things we talked about there, but we talked about a lot of different things there. And it was very good to have James there and Tobias to help us along. But now that's in Olson's hands. Right now, they're going to give us the final 40% of that with construction sometime next year. Hopefully we'll get the engineering stuff. We'll be going back and forth this winter, and we'll be able to construct that finally next spring or summer. We also at the same time met with the same engineer, James, and we discussed 4th Street and 5th Street Market to Ella on both of those streets. The Ella Street project's like $450,000. This is like $550,000. So we're talking about $1 million between those two projects. Difference is we're going to design this 4th and 5th Street. So that's why we talked about everything: decorative lighting, trees, bike lanes, signage, trash receptacles, decorative bricks, sculptures. We talked about everything that you could possibly think of in that meeting. And James is going to design that, bring it back to the committee, and we'll bring it back to you guys when we get a little bit closer. So that's moving along, I think, very well. Also, construction on that is planned for next summer also. Let's see. I think that's maybe enough of the construction things. We also discussed, let's see if I can pick the terminology right, challenging the community, or asking the community to come up with some unique ideas. I mean, we're going to redo this whole downtown, right? Over the next 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it ends up taking. It would be interesting if we could come up with something as a community that would be unique, would be another draw to get people here. I mean, why are we doing this? We're doing it, number one, for safety, to get the trucks out of downtown, right? Number two is to beautify this entire downtown area so we can not only get people to come here, but we can keep our young people here. So if there's ideas out in the community that we could come up with that are unique or challenging or conceptual, that's maybe different in other communities, it would be really nice to hear from the community if somebody could come up with an idea that our committee can't come up with. So we maybe like to challenge the community to do that if they could. And then Tobias, you asked if we would thank Main Street for the Christmas decorations. I'm not sure. So Main Street purchased those Christmas decorations. We're selling our old Christmas decorations. All those snowflake ones are being put up right now. So we want to thank Main Street for their effort that they did putting those up in the downtown. Other than that, thanks Tobias. Thank James for us, if you would, and thanks you guys, the committee members, because you put a lot of work into that, so I appreciate it. That's it, Robert.
All right, thank you very much.
Sure.
Moving on, we'll do the city administrator's monthly report.
Yeah, you have the report there. Just a couple of highlights to point out to you. Merchant McIntyre, so their contract runs out in January. We've started the conversations about what it would look like to renew with them. Hopefully, everybody's been happy with the work that they have done for us with the RAISE grant and the AFG grant, and helping us with the EPA grant. So we'll work on bringing that to you probably in December as that project kind of moves forward. The Lincoln Street project from 25th to 27th, so that next section of Lincoln that we've talked about, JEO has prepared 30% plans. We've got those. James and I reviewed them, sent them back, and now they'll continue to work on that particular project rolling forward.
I have a question about
Yeah.
that. So, because some people are going to ask the same questions. As you're on Lincoln, heading towards the school, where where the new concrete starts, kind of seems like it jogs over. So does the new section stay on the same line? Does it widen out?
The new section probably actually
For 25th to 27th.
will probably narrow down from what you see further to the east.
Okay, so it'll essentially be the same width as it is where they're tying, where they're going to tie onto it now.
That's one of the conversations we're having. I think
Okay.
J.O. drew it as a 31-foot road. James usually goes 32.
Yep.
Back to curb. But I think what's sitting out there is like 35 or 36. It's a little wider yet. And so we're having those conversations of how wide does the road need to be. What's going to come down to conversation with this body is, do you want parking on that street? Do you not want parking? I mean, that's when you need to start having streets wider. Otherwise, you're talking about 11-foot lanes of traffic. Well, 11 plus 11 is 22. And so then if you go to 31 or 32, what's the extra 10 feet other than just additional concrete you're paying for? And so those are some things we're looking at. You're not going to make it 4 lanes through that area. So, but yes,
Okay,
it will tie in. We won't have some weird jogs in there.
all right.
They'll make it nice and smooth over 2 blocks.
You just look at it at 12th, you look at it at 13th. I don't want the same thing that we're trying to correct there and 6th. I don't want to have the same problem to correct it at 27th. So, okay.
And then paddock on Lincoln schools, we're working with the schools to get those finally transferred over. We did receive the preliminary utility plan at Lincoln Street, or Lincoln site. Again, it's probably about 30% plans. So we made some comments. We're working through those. And hopefully we'll have those here in the next couple months.
T, I was trying to find it real quick, but I can't right now. The LB 840 total income was like $820-some thousand, if I remember right.
Could be.
The last fiscal year. Can you remember, did something unusual happen there? Can we expect something like that this next year?
As far as the amount of income,
Yep.
one question I have on that, because I don't know off the top of my head, but does the income include repayment of loans?
I don't know, that's why I'm asking that question. I just wondered if
I
we
would have
got
to find out
500
for sure.
plus, suppose somebody dumped an extra 200 grand. I don't expect you to know all that stuff off the top of your head either.
I can find out for you on
Yeah.
that one.
Yep.
That would be the question of whether or not we consider some of those loans to get paid back as income.
Any other questions for Tobias? Before we go into executive session, I just want to take a few minutes because I know at the next meeting, we will unfortunately say goodbye to Rich and to Tim, and we'll welcome new people. But it gets absolutely crazy when we do that, because what happens is the old council members sit here, and then 5 minutes later, they kind of get ushered out the door, kind of, sort of. And I just want to take a few minutes tonight and thank both of them. Rich, for all your years of service that you put into the city council. I appreciate not only when I was a council member, but as the mayor and the things that we've discussed. So thank you very much.
It was my honor.
And Tim, same way. You know, I think I will be the first one to say that if you looked at this summer, the UTVs did just fine. And so I really appreciate everything that you've brought to the council over the years as well. And so I just wanted to make sure that I said that tonight in case things got crazy on December 2nd. And I failed to thank both of you very, very much.
Well, appreciate the honor and privilege to serve the last 4 years for not only the Ward 1, but the entire city of Beatrice. And I think we got 2 new members out there. They're going to do very well. Look forward to them. And I'm sure that you'll probably see me once or twice here.
All right, you're always welcome. And so with that, the next city council meeting, I do believe, is December 2nd.
Correct.
And with that, I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
I move the Beatrice City Council go into closed session at 7:29 PM for the protection of public interest to discuss real estate.
Second.
Your vote, please, and that passes.